And welcome to the 2015 edition of the ACC basketball tournament here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I'm Coach Dick Cox, joined by Coach Barry Toney. And Coach Toney, quarterfinal Thursday has been an interesting event this year. That first two games earlier today were closer games. The two games tonight, Duke totally dominated NC State, and we thought it was going to be another blowout. That Notre Dame came out, played extremely well in the first half.
Pretty much dominated first half, that's correct.
And then here comes the Miami Hurricanes, storm back and actually took a lead before Notre Dame regroups and goes away with a close victory.
Hey, that's correct there, Coach. You know, Notre Dame, they were up 43-25, and a lot of people, I believe, began to leave there because they thought Notre Dame already had. But what started taking place? Notre Dame started missing some shots, and Miami started making shots. And next thing you know, you look up that scoreboard, hey, it's about tied. And like I said, I believe at one time or the other, Miami was up by a point or two.
North Carolina, kind of unaccustomed to being the higher-seeded team, came in, defeated Louisville. And the key to that series right there, you don't want to be leading at halftime because they have played 3 times this year, and the team in all 3 games, the team that was leading ended up getting beat.
Hey, that's correct there, Coach. And what it amounts to, you know, some teams get to the point where they're hitting the shots, and then when they start not hitting them and the other team starts, hey, you got your ball game.
Again, that's been a bugaboo for Louisville all year long, in that they could not hit shots. And I think that came back to bite them again, that the Tar Heels, to close out the game, went on a run in the last 7 minutes when it was about a 1-point game, and were able to pull away and leave them.
Hey, that's right. They left them big time, didn't they? Because, you know, when we were listening to the game coming up, we thought the Louisville Cards were going to take care of business, but they played hard, competed, but they didn't finish like the Tar Heels did.
The regular season champions, the Virginia Wahoos, played a team, kind of hung around with Virginia a little bit, but when it's all said and done, Virginia was stronger and were able to pull around. And that's going to set up our 7 o'clock game tomorrow night. North Carolina faces Virginia. Should be interesting.
Hey, you're right about that. And Coach, don't you know this place is going to be packed with Tar Heel fans tomorrow night too. Of course, you know, Virginia, they brought quite a few people also, so we should have 2 very interesting games tomorrow night.
And again, the first game of tonight, the Duke Blue Devils came out in a 3-quarter 2-2-1 press. They played a little matchup 1-2-2 zone defense, which I love to play that. In my final few years of coaching, that was one of my favorite defense, and they're playing that well and just executed on both ends of the floor. I mean, it was totally a clinic on offense and defense tonight for Duke.
Hey, you're absolutely right. And Coach K, you know, mentioned after the game, he was very proud of the way his kids came out. He felt like they played exceptionally well over a very good North Carolina State team.
Duke only had 6 turnovers for the game. They had 14 assists in the game tonight, though. But get this balanced scoring. Winslow had 11. Okafor had 10. Cook had 15. Tyus Jones had 8 assists, and 6 of those were alley-oop passes for dunks to one player, Marshall Plumlee. So he was not shooting a whole lot tonight. He only took 9 shots. Matt Jones had 11 points. Grayson Allen, another freshman off the bench, had 11. And Marshall Plumlee had 12. And, you know, the thing that's really interesting about this game was people don't talk a whole lot about the Duke bench. They say Duke doesn't have a bench, that they're only playing with 8 players. But it was actually the Duke bench who extended the lead in the first half and helped them to pull away.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, Coach, I was very impressed with Allen and impressed with Plumlee, too. In fact, I believe in points in the paint, Duke had them like about 46-24. And I tell you what, Plumlee had some thunderous dunks also. Really helped them out.
And, you know, I had a chance to talk with all these guys in the Duke locker room after the game. And, you know, everybody makes a big deal of Duke only having 8 scholarship players, only playing 8. But when it gets down to it, look at it. These other teams have got 12 scholarship players, but they're only playing 8. So the only difference is Duke's playing everybody they got to play, where basically they're 8 or beating the 8 of the other teams that they can play. Yeah, they got more options to go to, but they're not doing it.
Hey, you're absolutely right. And like Coach K said in his interview, his kids are really playing well right now. They're playing very well together. And in practice, you know, you look at Plumlee and, you know, Okafor going against one another day in, day out. That's going to help both of those individuals be able to perform in the game.
Well, it was fun talking to the Duke players, too. I said, it's got to be a positive. With only 8 players that are actually playing, you hadn't got to worry about playing time. And they know that. And they said that basically when I talked to Winslow, when I talked to Tyus Jones and Okeford, too, they all said that it's just like having 8 brothers, that there's a close team, that they went through adversity early in the year of having to face the distractions of Coach K's 1,000th win coming up and all the hype of their freshmen coming in. Well, they lost a couple of games. I asked them, did losing a couple of games finally take that pressure and bullseye off y'all where you could settle down? And they said, yeah, that they thought that could have been it. But the bottom line is they're probably playing as good as anybody in the country right now.
They are. And, like you say there, Coach, even though they have 8 players, those 8 they have, they're really coming together and gelling not only on the court, but, off the court too. And, like I said, it's one big family, and they're playing extremely well. And in most instances, Coach, that's about all you need, some pretty good players. And look at the players Duke's got.
And you look back right now that Coach K had to dismiss the first player ever in his coaching career. And, we're not getting into that or anything like that, but it was a blessing in disguise probably for Grayson Allen, a freshman player who has really played well for them since then, though, that he's gotten an opportunity to play. He is I think a J.J. Redick type player. He can shoot, he can play, and do a lot of things for them, and it's opened the door up for him to step up and play, and he's responded really well going down the stretch.
You're absolutely right. I tell you what, he had a thunderous dunk tonight too there, Coach. He shoots that ball extremely well from the outside, and he doesn't mind putting that thing on the court and taking it to the hole.
Well, Coach Tony, the last thing on Duke was talking with them. The big thing is Duke's got 8 players, but the good thing about it is they are versatile players. They can play a lot of different positions. You can play Winslow with the 4 if you want to. You can play him at a 3 and put Jefferson out there. You can play Allen at a 3. You can play a lot of them there, and that's been really big, the versatility of the Duke Blue Devils. Again, being creative with eight players that are actually playing, you can use them putting a lot of different lineups on the court.
You're absolutely right, and I tell you what, they're pretty smart by putting that zone press into him and playing some zone. They get more diversified, and too, Coach, by doing that, that's going to give like Ofor, give him a little breather and keep him in and around that basket, which he's a man playing a boys basketball game.
And I'm going to tell you what, Winslow is a man playing a boys game too. People don't look at that kid. I know you got a chance to see him up close tonight. That is a man who has not gotten the hype, but that kid's a heck of a player too.
He is a player.
And I'm going to tell you what, Tyus Jones is one of the top point guards, I think, in the nation.
He's one. I tell you what, they got about 7, 8 more that that really complement him extremely well. They're just playing together, is what I like to see. Playing team ball. And
I had an opportunity of talking to Tyus, and was talking about, and he could not say enough good things about how Quinn Cook has taught him the game and what a mentor Quinn has been to him. He feels like they're the best backcourt in the country, which they could be. I mean, those two guys are well, but Quinn kind of had to shift his game over to a 2-guard basically, even though Coach K doesn't call him a 1 and a 2. He just calls them guards, but basically moved over, became more of a shooter though. But he talked about what a big brother he had been to him and all of the things that he had learned from him, though. But again, those two guys are, a dynamic duo in the backcourt for Duke.
Hey, they certainly are. And what Coach K, I know he's very well pleased what's taking place now, because he always says he's not so much concerned about what's happening in November, December, and January, but come March, that's when he wants to start putting things together. And I think Coach, I think it's one of his better coaching years. I think he's doing a great job, with what he has.
With young talent.
Right. Hey, absolutely. Yeah.
And that brings us to our nightcap. Again, your final score tonight. And this game was Notre Dame 70-63 for Miami. And again, I like what Mike Bray had to say. Ask him, Mike Bray was an assistant at Duke for 8 years. And, we used to go up there and see him with coaching clinics. And we have a common friend with Mike Bray and Pete Strickland. Mike Bray, when we used to work Morgan Wooten's camps, was there. And I like Mike Bray. And I like what he said, too, how proud he is and how he feels like Notre Dame has established now being in the Final Four, playing on semifinal Friday this year.
Like, being an ACC team now.
Right. He feels like an official member of the ACC, and I think he is. Out of all the coaches that came in, new teams, he was an ACC member anyway. Again, having been at Duke, the things he learned. But I think it's great. He talked about for Notre Dame to be right there with elite programs like Virginia, Duke, and North Carolina. And again, to play his mentor tomorrow in the elite program Duke, then he's really proud of that opportunity and knows his players will be excited about it.
I tell you, Coach, I'm looking forward to some of those matchups because if you look at Notre Dame in comparison with Duke, I see a lot of similarity between those two teams. That should be some kind of game.
Again, we will be here tomorrow night to bring you all the action of that, though. Expect, and Coach Bray is expecting to see the now notorious Coach K zone come out, though. And you know, the thing I like about the Duke zone, they're playing a lot of defenses that we used to run that were my favorite defenses. He's using the old UCLA John Wooden 2-2-1 full court pressure, and he is controlling tempo. I looked up there several times, and that with the shot clock that NC State was just getting the ball across the court with 25 seconds left on the shot clock. They'd already wasted 10 seconds of their possession just having to go through token pressure that Duke was giving them, and that'll throw your timing off, and you can control tempo that way.
Coach, you think Bray might be working on his zone offense tomorrow after Coach K? He may have seen what Miami was doing to them zone defense-wise. So,
well, Jim Larinaga said tonight the last time he played zone, Kennedy was president. So it's been a while with that.
I left and take our coaches right about 52 years ago.
So it's been a while, though. But, you know, one of my favorite zones was zone defense, the defenses that we played, zone, matchup zone, a lot of things. So, you know, people used to laugh and make fun of me, but I'm happy to see zones making a comeback.
Well, you know, coaching, they are making a comeback because I hear a lot of comments from some coaches said they going to play that man-to-man no matter what. But some of those coaches, they haven't eaten some of the worst, too, and they're going to some zone defense. I like those Mickey Mouse zone defenses. Those are the ones I like.
The bottom line is, the way I feel, you've been there too, you got to do what you got to do to win ball games.
Hey, you're absolutely right there, Coach. And you got to be able to adapt whether you're playing for that zone or you're playing against it. You got to make adaptations and go with the flow.
So we have set up tomorrow 2 great games in the semifinals tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock and then 9 o'clock. 7 o'clock game is the Tar Heels and the Virginia Cavaliers. The 9 o'clock game, the Duke Blue Devils and Notre Dame. Again, we'll be here to bring you all the action from the 2015 ACC tournament. He's Coach Tony. I'm Coach Cox. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow night. Goodbye, everybody.
Good evening.